Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. I'm Doug. We got MUFON Matt and UFON Matt, so I always pronounce it wrong. Dev Rugne. I'm going to pronounce that last name correctly.
Yeah.
Northern California Assistant Director for MUFON. And author of UFO Investigator book.
Show the book, yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We're all crammed in here. It's the first time we've done 3 at Studio B here. You see Studio A. We're really cramped in there. That's where Matt and I do Zoom calls in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Zoom calls in the bedroom.
Spaceship.
The spaceship.
Well, thank you for having me.
Certainly. Tell us a little about your adventure here. I call it adventure because I've read through the book, not the whole thing, but it's...
Well, the book, when I decided to write a book about being a UFO investigator, it was a long time coming. And it was funny as that on my desktop, I had created a Word document probably about 15 years ago. And I knew what I wanted. I had in this Word document was like one sentence. And it was going to talk about what happened to me in 1969. And I kept that Word document on my desktop as a reminder to one day get this book going. And, you know, I'm very, very busy doing reports for MUFON. And, you know, full-time job and you know, life. And I almost didn't know how to start it. And what's interesting is that people like to tell you, well, just write what you know. Well, yes, but like how to set it up. And that was what I was kind of hesitant about, how I wanted it to be presented. And it's funny is that I believe that when the time is right, it's just going to come to you. You're going to know. You're going to know. And it did. And setting this book up was important to not only tell my story about why I think I became a UFO investigator. I was so interested in this subject to the point where it was obsessive. Right. And I didn't know where that was coming from. So another main thing that I wanted the book to profile is some of the cases that I did. And currently, I've done over 1,000 cases for MUFON, and that includes not only Northern California, but when I was the chief investigator up in Oregon. And what was the greatest thing about when I moved to Oregon and joined MUFON as an investigator, Bob Bigelow ended up funding MUFON for the SIP project. Star Impact Project is what it was.
Right. And
I wanted to jump all over that because, number one, we were going to get paid.
Yay!
Money talks, right?
Right, that's right.
So you had to like put in an application, a job application.
Oh, wow.
And there were, I believe, 3 positions. Field investigator for SIP, the SIP project. This what we call the oh gosh. Well, there was a higher position where you kind of looked over all the cases.
Yeah, right.
But then monitoring the database was another position. Then I wanted at least that one and the field investigator position, and I got both.
Nice.
So it really opened up my eyes as far as what would have been like protocols. Back then, MUFON, their CMS, their database, there was just a little box where you would put in your report. There was no like deeper information that you could have put. You could just write whatever you want. And I was looking at other people's cases to see what they were putting in there. And a lot of times it was just like one sentence or two sentences.
Saw something.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
sky.
they talk.
Blue.
Yeah. Well, this is when you talk to the witness. You should be putting all this information
as much as you can.
And well, I saw that it was really lacking. And but when the SIP project came around, Bob Bigelow, he expected, a lot of information.
Right.
So there were these forms that we had to fill out. And when I looked it over, I was really excited because this was the way it should be.
Yep.
When you talk to the witness and all this information that you would be including. And so after the project only lasted a year. And I was deployed, I guess, about 4 times. And these cases that you get deployed on had to have a certain criteria. And
did you meet Bob?
No. It was just when we had our meetings, and my star manager, Richard Lang, we would just go over things, and we had gotten a lot of paperwork to look over, to explain how the project was going to be handled, what to expect, and especially in the 2 different roles. And I was really excited because it was clearly professional. The forms, everything. I really liked that. I like structured stuff that makes sense, that gives a lot of detail. Yeah. And I'm a very detailed-oriented person. I take things serious. Everything I do in life, I try to do 110% because my name's on it.
Right.
And I always want anything I do to be reflected back to me as, oh, wow, she knows what she's doing.
Professional.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
So that only lasted a year. And after that ended, I ended up taking that form and thinking, I am going to continue to write my reports in this fashion.
Based on that form, right. Yeah.
And really give all the information.
Data.
And even though it was just a box that you would put it in, I would add, a lot of information that was on that form, and I kind of adopted that. And no one told me to do that. I just said, this is really how we should be doing it. Yep. So I put it in there. And of course, shortly after that, I think MUFON realized this was a good thing.
Yep.
And that they ended up changing their database to include a lot of that information.
Good.
For investigators to fill out reports and fill out, all this information and kind of guide you into what you should be asking the witnesses. Yeah. And it's important because a lot of people won't think about certain things. What's interesting is that if somebody had a sighting of a UFO and then they drove home after the fact and maybe they looked at the clock and saw that, wow, it's later than I thought it would be.
Right.
And then came home and there was some strange things going on in the house after the sighting. Well, that's related. And a lot of people don't realize that. And so when I hear, in fact, I'm going to be speaking to a witness today at 11:30.
Right.
She's down south. And she had this UFO sighting with her husband years ago. And I'm going to be asking a lot of these questions.
Right.
Like, was there any poltergeist activity?
After.
Yeah. Did you notice any wounds or scars on your body? This kind of thing. So this is what's really exciting as far as trying to get that additional information, because that really will point to, kind of like what's going on.
Right.
Because they'll say, well, if I asked, was there any kind of poltergeist activity going on? And they go, it's funny that you say that or ask that because this is what has happened. And they didn't think to put 2 and 2 together.
They don't relate that it's related.
Yeah.
So, I love all this stuff. And even though in my book, I talk about all the sightings that I have had, all the information as far as like paranormal stuff that's gone on in my life. Because even back in the 80s when this was going on, I didn't really look at them as related. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I don't think many people did.
Yeah.
I can't remember books.
It started to hit me. So, and I was investigating stuff back then.
From the Bay Area?
Yes. So, it's nice about being able to share your story, and I wanted to do that. And then, of course, in the book, I profile 30 of my close encounter cases that I've done.
Right.
And I'm a very visual person, and so if someone does have a close encounter, which is 500 feet or less, I am going to ask, can I get a drawing? Because here's the thing, when it's that close, they're going to be able to see a lot more detail.
Yeah.
And they can sit there till the cows come home and tell me in all these words, and I'm trying to picture that.
Vision,
And I don't like to guess. So I'll say, you know what? It would really be wonderful. And here's the thing. You get them excited.
Right.
So that they'll want to do this
Yep.
and send a drawing to you. And that's the whole key, is getting them excited that you're excited.
Yep.
And, because they want to tell their story. Well, this is what I saw. This is what I experienced. And getting that drawing, boy, that doesn't give you any room to speculate. It's right there in your face.
Yeah.
And so for the book, I wanted to get drawings from everyone because I wanted to profile close encounters. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm not an artist, and, it's not going to be that good. And I say that doesn't matter because, if you can just show me the shape, if there were lights, show me where. You can put little arrows to say, well, there was a dome here, or there was something hanging off there, or there was something under here.
Yep. Tell a picture.
Yeah.
Tell a story from your picture. And as much detail as you can remember.
Here's the funny thing. There's some of these drawings that, people have done. And like this one here, this was done by the artist, by the witness. And I did a live investigation. I was actually standing there on the road with him. And he drew this. So I write witness drawing. So I want people to know that's his drawing. This is what he gave me.
Right.
But I did a live investigation, and it talks about it. And I was standing right there. I parked my car, and I met him there. And this was a very rural area.
Right.
Still to this day.
Wow.
And he talked about, how he saw them and how they flew over the road.
Right.
And so
within 500 feet? Was it
wow. It's right there. These are right.
Show the camera.
Picture.
Yeah, and
buy the book. You can look very closely.
You can see
buy the
yourself
book.
Get the book.
Exactly.
So he, I thought he did a great job with the drawing.
Not bad.
And I didn't want to really a lot of the drawings I didn't alter, because if they did a really great job, I still wanted to keep what the witness gave me. This is his actual drawing.
Yeah.
And because I wanted drawings, I wanted, and I did hire a couple of digital artists to bring some to life, to just because sometimes color really,
exactly.
And a lot of people were saying, a lot of people were telling me, oh, when you publish your book, just do it in black and white. Well, I didn't want that. I wanted color.
Yeah.
And here's how it works is if you want color in your pages, you're going to get less money when you sell these books.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because Amazon takes more of the money, because it's going to cost them more money for the color.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't care. I wanted this book to represent how I envisioned it. So I wanted the color. Yeah. And, that's considered color, but I wanted to show
the light color. Yeah.
Yeah. And
the boomerang.
And see, that color to me, it jumps out so much, at you.
So I tried to say author drawing of witness description. So, this kind of thing, like this, there's a drawing in here that the witness himself. Okay, here it is. I love this. So I want to just show.
You're gonna point it that way.
Oh,
there you go, right there.
See that drawing? Okay.
Buy the book. I mean, go ahead.
So this drawing.
That's a great drawing.
Is a digital artist.
That looks like a movie front when he expects a title on the top of it. That's really good.
She, I forget what country she lives in, but she's in a foreign country,
right?
And I saw some of her work, and I approached her and asked her, "I would like to hire you to do recreate drawing." If you could see, and I guess and I thought about it. I have the original drawing from the artist,
right?
The witness. Yeah. The witness is an artist.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And he drew this, and his was very. When I got that in the mail, because he said, "I'm going to send it to you in the mail." He was living in Oregon,
right?
But his sighting was here in Northern California when he lived here as a child. And I said, "I would love to get a drawing of that close encounter." And he said, "Okay, and I'll send it to you in the mail. Give me your address." So when I got it in the mail and I opened up the envelope and I opened it up, I was shocked how beautiful
it was.
I didn't know he was an artist at that moment when I asked him. Because we were talking about his experience.
Again, you're expecting stick figure.
I thought, okay. It was gorgeous and very professional, and I realized this guy is talented. He's an artist, right? And I went back and forth about whether or not to put his original drawing in here,
maybe both,
or bring it to life and get it digitally done.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. I wanted to reach out back to him because I've done so many cases I can't remember them all. A few stand out, and I can really tell you offhand about them, but like doing over 1,000 cases and more, because there's other people that have reached out to me over the years before MUFON, and I've done their cases. I just can't remember everything. So what happened was I went to reach out to him, and I called the number that I had, and now I spoke to him, years ago, right? And when I called the number, I asked for him by name, and the woman that answered, because she said hello, and I go, "Hi, I'm looking. I would like to speak to blah blah blah," right? And she was quiet for a moment, and I thought, and then she said, "I'm sorry, he's passed away."
Oh, shit.
My heart was just like,
right.
It really affected me, because what happened was, to revisit his case, I went into his case, reread it, read my notes on it, and my report, and I remember reading that he was ill, and I had forgotten that when I had called. So when someone tells you they're ill, that doesn't mean they're dying.
Right.
They're going to die.
Yeah.
Just ill.
I got a cold. I got sniffles.
Or there's
your mind doesn't go to the worst spot.
You can get healed, and you're going to be okay. Because he had asked, I would like to go under regression. Yeah. And I said, okay, I can help you with that. You're in Oregon. I can find out from MUFON, who do we have that's certified in your area. And I just said, here you go. Here's some information. I hope that you learn what you would like to find out. Let me know. I would love to know what you find out.
Yeah.
And of course, I got so busy that I forgot about his case because I was doing all this other stuff.
Yep.
And I really kicked myself not reaching back out to him after a short period of time, just to see, hey, did you get regressed? What did you learn? Because his case really fascinated me. And I would like to just say, let me tell you about his story. So he was a boy, I think about, it's in the book, but he was a boy, And he had an uncle who was a teenager, and they were in sleeping bags in the backyard, decided to sleep outside.
Right.
You know,
camp in the backyard.
And this was a long time ago that this happened. So the town is a rural area in Northern California, and I think it's called Hayfork. Anyway, his uncle's parents, who would have been his grandparents,
Right.
were in the house watching the news. So it was around 11 o'clock at night, whatever.
Right.
And then what happened was ended up seeing this this craft coming in slowly. And it had all these colored lights around it.
Right.
And you know, just it was amazing to see. And
Right.
he said it was mesmerizing.
Right.
And this thing was huge, and we knew what it was because of the fact that the way it was shaped.
Right. That kind of gives it away.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
But in a way, you're still saying, what is that?
Yeah.
You're still, you know.
You're trying to make sense of
Yes,
that.
and that was your
that's a
mind will
whole
always
mind-
do that.
yeah.
Your mind will always
Yep.
do that. And I think that's because your mind is trying to protect you.
Right.
So
right.
it wants to, because you're scared, because you're like, what's that?
Yeah.
And it's big and it's like unknown. So your mind is protecting you by saying, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. So he said, here's this thing. And his uncle, who was older, he was a teenager, he gets up, and of course he's frightened by this, like, what? And he goes, I'm going to go get mom or whatever, grandma
Takes
or
off.
whatever. And he runs into the house.
Leaves them outside.
Leaves the boy there.
No, no.
Well, the boy's just like this.
Yeah, he's just like captivated.
Yeah, he did. Okay.
Yeah, right, right.
Wow,
I'm gonna try to make sense of this when you go get.
Well, no,
off.
I'm just,
Yeah.
because he says mesmerized. You don't take your eyes off. You're just like,
Yeah.
wow.
Right.
And the flashing lights just kind of just mesmerize you. And he said, the next thing he remembers is his uncle and his grandmother come out and go, and she says, where is it?
Oh.
And it's gone.
Oh wow.
And he is now in another, I guess he was in a sleeping bag, and now he's standing up, or he's in another
Right.
area. But he looks down, and his bottom pajamas are gone.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, well, where were they? He goes, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, did you ever find him? He goes, no.
Oh wow.
Never.
Oh.
No, we never knew. We never could. Where's your? I don't know. And they looked everywhere. They were never found. So obviously something happened.
Something happened. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, and I never forgot that, because just listening to him speaking of it,
Yeah.
and the wonder and the being mesmerized by
Yep.
the lights,
Yep.
and this thing is huge, and just and
Yep.
he drew it
Yeah.
so amazingly, and I kept that drawing. And because when I found out he died, and I kicked myself for not reaching out to him sooner, and he was on my mind for days after that.
Yeah.
And I went on Facebook, and I wanted to see. Well, I didn't ask the lady. All I said was, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss."
Right. Right.
And then I hung up because she didn't know who I was. She
Right.
didn't want to.
She probably
I
wanted
didn't
nothing
know
to do
really
with
who
it.
she was.
This is his doing, not.
Yeah,
you know,
and
could be
so
his
I
wife
didn't
or
want to
something.
pry. So
Yep.
I went on Facebook, and I put his name in, and I found his profile.
Right.
That's when I realized he was an artist, because his profile wasn't blocked where I couldn't see things, but I could see that he drew.
artwork.
Yeah, he did a lot of artwork. He was an artist, and I said, no wonder his drawing was so amazing.
Right.
And I sat there and thought about it. I said, well, I'm going to include his story in my book. And I started talking to him. I said, I'm so sorry that I didn't reach out to you sooner. And I want to put your story in my book. And I think I'm going to hire somebody to bring your drawing to life.
Right.
Only because, not that your drawing wasn't great, it was fantastic.
Right.
And I, didn't realize. I realized at that moment when I saw it that you were an artist. So I decided to attribute. I was almost going to put that drawing on the cover.
Right.
Yeah.
just to to honor him.
Yep.
And I was the cover was really something that I was going over and talking with a few people.
Right.
And because I knew the title would be UFO Investigator,
Right.
but I thought, well, I had this cool picture. Liz took this picture. I was on a live investigation with this witness. This was in West Sacramento.
Okay.
And it was in a residential that this woman saw this UFO and everything. And her case was that after the fact, there was poltergeist activity in the home.
Oh, wow.
So it was a significant case.
Yep.
And anyway, I got her permission to use this image that includes her.
Nice.
And when I was out on the investigation with her, and Liz was taking pictures of, that's what Liz did, would always come and take pictures of whatever. And as I was talking to her, she was recreating, okay, it came this way, and then she was pointing, and Liz took the picture of her pointing.
Right.
So I had an artist create this cover with this UFO
That she's pointing at.
and
right.
I said, this is taking place in a residential, so I want a house.
Right.
So that's why, and I decided to use, because I was wearing my field investigator shirt. You can't buy this shirt unless you're a field investigator.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen
Like
that.
if you wanted to buy one, you couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's only
So
for
it's only for field investigators. And I thought, well, this is a good picture to use for the cover.
Yeah, because that kind of tells the whole story
Yeah.
of everything in the book.
Instead of using the other guy's drawing.
Right.
As I was going back and forth about how I wanted that.
Is
So
this kind of what she saw? Does that
no,
represent what she saw?
no, it wasn't like that. The woman that did the cover also did the. I had her create the, because I gave her the files of everything I wrote and the pictures, and I had her turn it into that file that Amazon uses to create, because I also have to have it have an ebook for it.
Right.
So this woman did all the some of the editing, most of the editing.
Right.
And I know there's a couple of mistakes in there. It's like trying to catch every little detail.
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, with all them words. No.
Yeah, so I just told her, find a UFO, show me what you find, and
Yeah,
we'll just put
just
it and have
anything in
her
there.
like she's pointing up at it.
Yeah, it's
Because what she saw didn't look like that, and it wasn't
right.
that close.
It's just it's a case.
Yes.
Right.
So, but
Yeah,
this is
that'd
an actual photograph
Right. That's
of
cool.
a live
nice.
investigation
Yep.
with a real witness.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I got her permission, and I got permissions for everybody in here.
It's like you got moved. I read in the MUFON gave you
Yeah.
permission to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about the
because-
cases.
Yeah, you have to have permission because
Right.
you don't own those cases.
Right.
Yeah.
The witnesses, they own it, but they, when they put in a report, there's a disclaimer, and they have to agree to that, which is your story and any of your media is now MUFON can use it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And we'll use it in the journal or like a MUFON TV or whatever MUFON wants to profile your stuff.
Yeah.
Now, because all those cases belong to MUFON, I had to go to MUFON.
To be able to
And
yeah.
say,
You
I'm
gotta get
writing a book.
permissions. Yep. Yep.
Can I have permission to use my cases
Right.
that I investigated in there? And he said, yeah, let me go to the board.
Yep.
The board of directors. So I said, okay, let me know. And then I guess he told them, and then they said yes.
Yeah, it's like when you write a record for music and you get a company, to produce that record. If you're going to go play it live, you have to get their permission for it. It's your songs, but they paid you for them. So basically, or they've copyrighted them.
They didn't want to review the material first.
No.
They said
No,
it's
they knew.
okay.
I just had to let them know I was using cases, MUFON cases
Well,
in
they
the book.
know. Yeah, I'm sure they know about you.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so it's not going to be.
You've been doing it for how long now?
for just MUFON or
just investigating, period.
Oh, for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts in Fremont.
Yeah.
Newark.
Right.
So, yeah, because I used to work in 1979. I worked for Peterbilt Motors.
Okay.
And I was getting the word out because there was no internet.
Right,
There was no such thing as the internet.
Right, exactly.
So I was always talking about UFOs to everybody,
Right.
Even though some people were like, woo.
Right, of course.
Well, it's funny, now they don't look at it like that.
Yeah, not as much. The stigma
isn't quite what it used to be.
Oh, my God.
Thank gosh.
The teasing and
I'm
the
not the crazy guy all the time now.
Yeah.
I am crazy, but I'm not that crazy
Yeah, the
anymore.
tinfoil hat guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I bring it up in the book, I believe, that when I worked for Peterbilt Motors, I was talking, I met another guy that was really interested in UFOs, and him and I chatted about it. And I started to, talk about UFOs and that I investigate. If anyone ever saw anything, they can come to me.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. Well, I get this guy come up to me. I don't know who he was. And I was working the night shift. And he said, hey, there's a guy on day shift that wants to talk to you about UFOs. And I said, really? And I said, okay. And then he goes, well, he said, come in early because I went to work at 3 p.m. Come in early and meet him by there's a bathroom area, but then it's by where they work on the Cummins motors and stuff.
Right.
And then I said, okay. So I went in early, and this guy was a Navy man at one time, and that's when he talked about him and another man being on the ship, and they were like, lookouts or whatever, for subs or whatever, and they were at sea, and they were smoking cigarettes and just standing out there chatting one night, and he had said there was some bubbling in the ocean.
Right.
And they were like, oh.
What is that?
Yeah, because they didn't know if it was a sub or what was going on. And
they're trained observers.
Yeah, so they're looking. And, man, out of the water comes this disc-shaped object, right?
Oh,
man.
And they're like, and then it just was hovering. And he said it ended up just...
Oh, nice.
And
that's a hell of a case. Out of the water and then out?
Yeah, because it came right out of the water. It was hovering.
What's a transmedium? So,
And they're looking at each other, and they were just kind of like, did you see that? Oh, my God, yeah. And then I think he said that
we're not telling anybody.
Well, they were discussing if they should.
Yeah.
Should we say something? Nothing.
There's no way.
I'm not talking about that.
That's not a sub. Okay, that's not a sub.
But that got him so interested in the subject.
Right.
And so he wanted to tell me his story, and he did. And he said, we ended up going into Europe, whatever, and he said, I picked this up back then, and he goes, and I'd like to give it to you. And it was a copy of... what was it?
It was an author?
It was a European publication.
Okay, not a
I forget what it was called. I read about it.
Yeah.
Read it. Get by the book. You'll know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Flying Saucer Review or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flying Saucer... Yeah.
Did he ever tell the military about it?
No.
Not
then.
You're out. You're crazy. You're out.
Back then.
I can understand that absolutely.
Well, number one, they said, okay, we saw this. We both saw it. It was not like, we have a witness, each other, but there's no evidence.
Yeah.
And...
what exactly were you smoking on the deck of the ship?
Yeah. Well, and then, of course, there was this question of, well, did radar see anything?
Right. They gotta, yeah.
And I can't remember, because this was so long ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of my files, I had moved a lot in my life.
Right.
And especially in those younger days, and a lot of my stuff is just gone. And it's disturbing because, I just think back of all the stuff that I had, and now it's gone.
Yeah, gosh.
And another thing that happened too back in the early 80s was I had moved back in with my parents. I was about 24.
Right.
And I said, Dad, can I move back in? So now I just need to, get my stuff together and save a little bit of money, and I want to get back on my feet.
Yep.
And he said, yeah. And so when I lived there, I had put up in an attic area of the house, I had a small telescope. I had boxes of stuff.
Oh, boy.
Some of my cases and stuff. I forgot about that
when
I moved out.
No.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
And they ended up selling the house shortly after that.
Right.
And then when I was like,
somebody either
remembering, where's my telescope?
Right,
Where's my this and that? And then it hit me.
Oh, shit.
I think I left it in the attic of that
Oh,
house.
no.
And they no longer live there.
Right.
Oh, man.
And I
You didn't
remember
go knock on the door?
I-
Hey, did you guys find a weird box?
that exact house, and I put it in here, I had a huge sighting of this strange, huge object that was 20 feet away from me that was hovering.
Near the house? Where you?
Yeah.
Okay.
At that same house.
Right.
And I was living this was in Newark. I was still living in the area.
Right.
And I remember driving up to the house and sitting there staring at the house, wanting to knock on the door for two reasons. Hey, can I look in your attic because I have stuff in there?
Right.
They're going to go, sorry.
Yeah. We don't know you. Call the
now.
cops.
And then I wanted to go out in the backyard just to relive seeing that
Yeah,
area of
get
where I
that
had
feeling
that
again.
sighting.
Was that the tree? The one you
No,
the tree,
no,
or that's another house? There was one
Is that
where
still
you
going?
climbed. What's that?
Oh.
It's up
Oh,
there
okay,
now.
up there, okay.
Yeah, Apple.
Okay. Apple.
Apple decided he wanted to be on another thing.
Yeah. Thanks, Apple.
No, that was the one that that one. It is a rudimentary.
Yeah,
drawing.
but it shows the
But
yeah.
here's the house, and then the fence, and this huge object that was.
That looks
I
huge.
think I
according to-
saw about 15 feet of it. It
Oh
was about
gosh!
15
So
feet.
there was more, and you didn't even see that part.
No, it was
on the outside.
behind the house, behind it, and here's the fence, and it was about 20 feet away,
Right. Damn.
and it was at that same house.
Right.
And I wanted so bad to knock on the door and say, "Can I go in the backyard?" And I didn't want to sound like a nutbag, right?
You're robbing them.
Yeah, they're like, "Who are you?" Well,
this case in the joint.
and I never had the nerve because I kept saying, "Boy, you sound ridiculous." If
You run in your head.
They're gonna call the cops.
Would I let me in there? Probably not.
Yeah,
Right.
call the police.
Yeah, I'm calling.
Person in the house.
Yeah, we already called the cops as soon as you walked to the door. Yeah, we were way ahead of you.
Yeah, I was so afraid that they would call the police
That's a
and think I'm
great story.
staking their house out or
Yeah.
something.
It's a
And I
great
was just
story.
like, damn. But yeah, so that that was again, all those documents that I had, a lot of things I had, just gosh,
Oh, that's too
are
bad.
gone. Yeah, and so
And this is like your early time, the early times when you started investigating, right?
yeah,
That's basically-
in the 70s
yeah.
and stuff.
Wow.
I was doing a ton of research.
Right.
That in 77, I was on the phone with Betty Hill.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I was.
You
I was-
talked to her for a good amount of time.
Well, yeah, I wrote her a letter and she wrote me back, and then we talked on the phone. She was telling me stuff, and I was just telling her because my dad was just like, he says, I know you're interested in this stuff, but now remember, this is the mid 70s.
Right.
He's saying to me, it's a hobby.
It's not a career. This is a hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
An interest.
Not your life.
Yes, yeah.
I graduated in 75.
He realized
and that
early on,
year-
you're not going to make any money doing this. He realized this early on.
In 75, I graduated, and that year he was saying, "Well, have you given your future some thought? And
Right,
What
yeah.
would you? What
The
are
talk.
you? What do you
The
want to do?
talk. Yeah, the other talk. Right.
What do you want to do with your life?" And I said,
Right.
"Well, I want to be a UFO investigator." And he goes, "Oh
Yeah.
my god."
Yeah. He's like, oh no. What am I
My
going
dad
All
was a
sad.
my dad-
Yeah, he looks down.
Yeah, and
How do
well,
I
I was
say
the
this?
oldest, so
Right,
he was
right.
thinking, "Oh boy." So he, my dad was in finance. He was a finance man.
Right.
So, and he's thinking very logically, and he said, He goes, no, I'm talking a job. You get money for the future.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it's funny, the Bay Area, I grew up in Castro Valley.
Oh, okay.
So, I've never seen anything. But in the paper, the reason I got interested in it, I was a paper boy. I was a paper boy until I was 18. I graduated in 77.
Right.
And in the paper, there was a lot of articles in the paper at that time about, sight people seeing things.
Right.
Just
this
newspaper
is one
articles.
Yep.
But, in that area was the Oakland Tribune. So it was just fascinating to me that my brother and I said, we're building radar, man, we're going to get these things.
Yeah.
But we were always looking, but we never saw anything, but we still believe.
Yeah.
And in that area it was big.
Well, the Bay Area, people always used to think that, you saw UFOs only in rural areas.
Right.
No.
No.
San Francisco, the Bay Area too.
Where I saw mine were not rural areas. Mine were only here.
Industrial park.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Oakland, in 2010, I had moved back to California from Oregon, and I went out on a live investigation. A man, he was an educator, he was a teacher, and for college.
Right.
And he had a sighting in Piedmont, it was above Oakland.
Not a rural area.
No, but it's a very affluent. It's very nice, very expensive.
Yep.
And I told him, he said, well, I captured video. And I said, well, I'd like to come over and, look at it and talk with you and see where you saw this at and where you took the video. He said, all right. So I went out at night. I had to go through Oakland.
Oh boy! Yeah. Oh boy!
I was like, let me just right up to Piedmont, right?
Yeah, head forward, drive fast.
Yeah. So I get up to his house, and it's just beautiful and
immaculate.
I mean, the front door was like 20 feet tall. So opens up, and I go in. Very nice. And I met him, and I said, well, I'd like to, first of all, go out in the backyard, because you said you were out in the backyard, and I want to see the area. So I went out at night because I wanted to see.
You wanted to get a feel for what it's all.
A lot of times I won't go out at night. I mostly go out during the day just so I can see. But I know the Bay Area, so I wanted to see nighttime traffic, air traffic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Because you've got SFO across the bay. You've got Oakland International right there. I wanted to look at that. So we walk out into his backyard, and we go all the way out, and I mean, it overlooks the entire Bay Area.
Oh, beautiful.
I go, you have a wonderful view.
I'd sleep out here if I had this view.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said, he goes, I'm very familiar with air traffic. And I said, well, yeah.
That's good.
Because, he says you could see, everything, and I know what airplanes look like, helicopters,
right.
everything. And he said, but this thing was very different. So he started telling me about it. So he did. And we were standing out there, and the funny thing is, when they captured the video, him and his wife, he said while it was visible over the bay, he got on the phone with Channel 2, okay?
Oh, wow.
And said, hey, the news station, right?
KTVU.
And said, hey, there's a UFO right now. Somebody, needs to look at this.
Put a camera at it.
Yeah, and they weren't interested.
Yeah.
Of course
he said, but it's there right now.
That's right.
This is
Look
not.
out the window.
We're trying to film traffic right now, all right?
So he told me all this, and we're standing out there. The sky was beautiful, very clear.
You remember what time? Was it like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
No.
But it was dark.
Yes, because I believe it was in the spring.
Okay.
And we were standing out there, and I was looking up at the sky, and he was standing there reminiscing to himself. He was standing there looking over the bay. Right. I walked over here, and I looked towards the south.
Right.
And I'm looking up at the sky, looking at the stars, and it had to have been the winter time because Orion was out.
Right. Okay.
So I looked up and I saw Orion, and I noticed, because you could see the belt, the 3 stars of the belt, and there were 2 bright white lights, right? And I, a little bit bigger than stars.
Right.
And I said, well, wait a minute, that's not part of Orion. What the hell is that? I'm looking at these 2 things, and I'm just standing there saying to myself, oh, that's not part of Orion. What are those? And he comes walking over to me. He goes, oh, what are you looking at? I go, those 2 things, those white...
That's not part of the constellation.
That's not part of Orion.
Right.
And then they went like this. They brightened together.
And out.
Dimmed, and then you could see that they were part of something solid, because that solid thing started to... It was blocking out other stars.
Oh, wow.
And then it started moving away, and I go, look at that. And he goes... Oh, you saw them. They're taking off. And I just said, holy crap.
How many investigators can say, I went on an investigation and I actually saw something?
That wasn't the only time that happened to me.
Wow.
That happened again in Oregon, but it was during the day.
Oh, gosh.
And, so that was the Oakland one.
And these are all in the book?
Yeah.
I don't know if...
Oh, okay.
No, the Oakland one I just told you about is not in the book.
Okay, that's the second book.
There's a lot of stuff that's not in the book.
Yeah, that's the other book coming out.
Exactly. It will be.
Yes.
That's not part of this book.
That is
There's
amazing.
a lot of stuff that's not in this book.
That is amazing. Wow.
But the other one that happened while... So I was the chief investigator for Oregon MUFON.
Right.
And my assistant state director, his name was Keith, and he invited me to go out with him because this one witness that I know now personally,
right,
he has had sighting after sighting after sighting. I have gone on live investigations with him.
Right.
He still lives up in Oregon, and Keith took one of his cases, and he had said, "You have interviewed this guy before." I said, "Yes, I know him. I've been at his house several times.
Right.
He's had a lot of different UFO sightings."
Yep.
And he said, "Want to come with me? I'm going to go see him because he's now moved over to another area of the Portland area." I said, "Yeah." And he said he's captured a bunch of UFOs in the daytime on film, and he doesn't know how to get them off the hard drive. He goes, "So I want to get those." I said, "Okay." So we go out there. It's a September day, a Saturday, beautiful weather, blue skies, 2009.
Okay.
And what happened was we get out there, and the witness was there, and I had a brand new camera. It wasn't a cell phone. It was a camera. And you slide it to open. It goes, ring.
Right.
And it was the best pixels at that time.
At that time, yeah.
And I'm taking pictures. It's fully charged, brand new, taking pictures because he's like, okay. So what we do is we have the witness turn around so we don't see their face.
Right,
yeah.
And they point.
And then they point and they talk, and I'm taking pictures.
Right.
And I'm asking him about where he saw them. We're validating elevation and direction of flight and all this. In the meantime, what happened was we're standing out there, and now I shut my camera off, and we're talking to him, and he's looking up, and he's just kind of talking about what he remembers, and then he goes, "Look!" And we look up, and I go, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, it's gone." And he goes, "Keep your eye there." And then I'm going, "Did you see something?" And then he goes, "Yeah, right there." I look up and I see this white dumbbell-shaped object, right?
Oh,
and it morphs into a circular object.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
And I saw it with my eyes, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And then
He's not tripping.
so it's there, right?
Yeah.
It's slowly moving. It's not zipping by.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going, getting my camera.
Yeah.
And I open it up, and I don't hear a zing. I'm like,
Dead.
and it's dead. And I
Oh.
my camera,
Right.
it won't open.
It's only for your memory.
It won't turn on.
Right.
And I'm like, damn.
Right.
And he's standing there, and he goes, "Here's my binoculars." And I'm watching this thing, and I'm just
And you
going,
can see it up close.
well, yeah, it's an orb, right?
Okay.
And I'm going, wow. I said, now we're about just a couple of miles from PDX, Portland International.
Right?
And I look over, and my assistant state director, Keith, is running towards his car. And I go, where are you going? He goes, I have a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, good luck.
You're going to die.
Yeah, because it's going to disappear forever at some point.
So the witness is standing there with me, and he's all excited because we're there.
Yeah.
He's not excited to see it because he sees UFOs all the time.
He's already seen it, but you guys are there and you're seeing it.
We're seeing it with him, and he's like excited. Oh, good, you guys are here.
Right.
And I'm just like, this is amazing, right?
Yep.
And here comes Keith. And Keith's older than me, right? And he's like, where is it? I go, right there. But he has this big camera, like more professional.
Right. You got to,
Yeah, and he's looking up, and I go, are you getting this? And he goes, yes. And I go,
nice.
And I'm just like, oh my God. And I go, and then I hear an airplane.
A jet.
Yeah,
right.
from PDX.
Right.
And I go, get the airplane in there for reference.
Yep.
Because when you're looking at a blue sky, you don't.
You can't tell it's here, there, here. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so he goes, okay, I'll try. And, so, and I go, you're getting this? And he goes, yeah. And then, of course, Oregon has a lot of trees.
Right. It starts
and
getting
it
blocked
ends
out.
up going, and we lose it in the trees.
Right.
So that was the second time that I saw a UFO
while doing an investigation. Right.
And so with a witness, and they see it, and I had the assistant state director there as well.
Yeah.
So I told Keith, I said after the fact that it left and gone, and I said, you got it? And he goes, yeah, pretty sure I got it. And I said, okay. I said, make me a copy of that DVD. Yeah. And I still have it to this day.
Nice.
Oh, you got the
nice.
Yeah, I have the video.
Did you get the jet and scale too?
I don't remember. I mean, this was 2009, so
I
don't know. I'd have to go and put it in and look at it.
Nice.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I've had UFO sightings, close encounter types that blow me away, and. When I'm looking at them, boy, I don't care about getting them on film.
Right.
I don't take my eyes off of them because I know they're gone in a minute. Like, boom. And, I am soaking it all up. Okay, what am I seeing?
Yep.
What does it look like? What are the lights, the colors? Anything on it as far as different, is there portholes? Is there a dome? Is there anything hanging off it? What's the shape?
Any data you can get.
Any sound?
Yep.
What direction? What time it is?
Right.
I'm doing all this that I would do with a regular investigation.
Right.
And I'm not one of those people, like my phone is in my bag.
Right.
It's not on my person. I don't really do that.
Just keep to it. Right.
I'm not, like, my phone isn't my third arm.
You're my second brain.
I'm not tethered to it.
I am, unfortunately.
And it's not in my pockets or anything.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
It is.
So I would have to look down and grab my phone, and I don't want to do that. It's not worth it.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. Just like on that investigation, my camera didn't even work.
Right.
After the UFO left, and I made sure Keith had that video.
Yeah, on his camera.
You got it? Yeah. Okay. I looked at my camera, and I turned it on. Zing.
It came on!
I go, you bastard.
Yeah, that was by design.
You didn't want me to take a picture.
No, they did not.
Oh, because I would have been able
you.
to zoom in and,
That's for your mental thought. It's not for anything else.
So.
It happens a lot. I've heard that in so many different.
You read about where the power goes out.
Yep.
Like it's okay.
A lot of people tell me.
And then it's done and it's back on again.
A lot of people tell me, my phone died. I said, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Their phones don't die, and they get them, and they do get them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's usually kind of far away,
Yep.
and then it's hard because, and like I tell everybody, if you're lucky enough to get something on film, whether it's a picture or video, it's probably not going to be the best as what your eyes can pick up.
Yep. Yeah.
And so.
And it's going to go through the ringer. Because everybody is going to say something about it, whether it's positive, most of the time it's negative.
Well, and your eyes are going to pick up more ambient light, especially at night.
Yep.
You're going to be able to see
and that
better.
camera can't.
And they'll always tell me, Because I'll say, well, I looked at your video and I'm seeing like white light, right? Like white lights. Well, they weren't white.
Right.
And I said, well,
when
what
I'm
color
looking
were
at the
they?
time. Yep.
That's why I always ask color. And in fact, even though they'll put down elevation, 75 degrees, I'll always ask elevation, and I'll go over it with them. 90 degrees is above your head, halfway down 45, and then the horizon is 0. What was your estimation of that based on what I just told you? A lot of times it'll change. Because they're just going, well, I guess it's that. So I always go over all that. And you know what another thing is? Because they're dealing with a database, and there are a lot of people are not computer savvy. So when it comes to filling out boxes and this and that online, they will either leave boxes blank, and then you got to ask them for that information. Or, and here's the thing that's very important, and I learned, is someone had a video or a picture, and it was clearly in the night, right? It was clearly nighttime. But on the report, it said
12 p.m. or
something. It said 9 a.m.
Right. So now you got to go back and figure it out.
So then I asked them, your picture shows a nighttime video.
Right.
You put down 9 a.m. Oh, that was a mistake. But I'll always check metadata and see what it says. Because I had one guy that gave me a series of pictures, and they were from all different dates. And times. And I said...
One case?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then I said, where's the picture of the date that you submitted? Because our database can only handle one date. If you said September 7th...
I thought you wanted all UFOs.
If you said September 7th, I would like if you have any pictures of that or a video. Everything else doesn't apply.
You would think that'd be a given, but...
Or, what I'll say is, if they say, like, there was another person that put in recently multiple, and I saw this one day, and then the next day I saw this, and then the next day, 2 weeks later I saw this.
Oh, boy.
Then I just told Ruben that, our state director, I said, just ask them, what date do you want to make this report about? Because we can talk about all your other stuff. You could put in additional
one
reports.
at a time.
But we need that one date, because those boxes that you check are for that one date. Not like, 2 weeks ago, yes, it hovered. Yesterday it flew by. So it's only for one date. So that's what's important.
Would you put in? Could you reference the other dates that it was seen in that single report?
We could talk about it, and then I could just say that he saw this and that.
It's probably better to do one at a time.
And then I say, well, if you would like to fill out more reports, you can do that. Well, that's time consuming for them. They may not want it. And that's okay, because I'll still ask about the other, and then we can put a reference of
Do you get serial submitters? You know what that is?
Yes.
So I just had a gentleman on, Les Durant.
I remember him.
Les,
he got
Les
blocked.
From back east, and he got blocked. He says that they wouldn't allow him to submit. They did something where the VPN, so he did some backdoor thing where he was able to still submit, and he talked to his local investigator and director, and they didn't say, I don't know what's going on. He says, no, you're a serial submitter.
I could be so all the sightings I've seen, I could easily be one of those. I think if you took everything that I've seen where it's questionable, I probably have about 15 different sightings. But it's the bigger ones that last more than a few minutes for me that I've seen that I'm gonna count. I'm gonna put on that site. Anything else is like,
He has a camera, and it points toward the sky, and So every time he sees something, he submits.
Boom.
And more than likely, it's like
I'm saying 95% of the time that's something something explainable.
Well, what we have
it's a 5% that matters.
What we have in MUFON is if a case comes in, and I see them all for Northern California.
Right.
And I'll look them over, and I can tell you exactly what they are.
Right.
Just by reading it and
by
going,
reading
okay, I already
yep,
know what it is.
Exactly.
But if I see that it's Starlink,
right.
if I see that it's lens flare, what happens, and that's just looking at if they submit any videos or pictures,
right,
or if they talk about something, because usually with lens flare, it's a picture or video.
Yep.
And what I'll do is I'll talk to Ruben and say, this one will be a rapid close. And the rapid close is just for the state director to do, and basically it will just say lens flare.
Yep.
Because he'll look at it and he'll agree with me, yes, you're right, and I'll just close it out. And he doesn't have to call them or anything. But what I do is I say to him, because this one person did put their camera up on a fence, and they're just taking pictures
all the time.
Right. And he said it in his narrative that he just puts this up.
That's automatic. Yeah. Probably a rapid close, right? Because
so I told Ruben, I said, you need to send them an email explaining what they have here, which is lens flare.
Yep.
And then they can get used to the idea that's what they're seeing. It's not a UFO.
No, it's right.
And, you know, I look at Facebook a lot, and I see people that'll put up a picture with lens flare.
Yeah.
In fact, it was just yesterday that I saw somebody say somewhere, I forget what post it was and whose site it was, but I read the comments, right, and our people are going, "Great job!"
Yeah.
And there are a few people that are saying, lens flare.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people that are like, wow, that they believe that it's a UFO.
And this is a picture, right? Not a video?
It's a picture.
It's a picture, yeah. I tend to think that if I'm going to do it, I'm either not going to take anything or I'm going to do a video. I'm not going to do a picture because that is not enough data. Anything can.
And, you just have to educate people.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, this is what's happening.
Right.
This is why.
Yep.
And no, it's not a UFO.
No, it is
there's a lot of people that get upset.
They do.
I had a woman that submitted a case in Oregon, and she was a smoker. She was out in her patio smoking a cigarette, and she saw a very bright white, huge, orb-like object.
Right.
And she videotaped it, and she videotaped it for, 3 hours.
Right.
No.
That tells me right now.
Yeah.
That tells me right now
that it was.
You got to plan.
It's not.
Yeah.
But I have to prove it. I can't just say, that's what it was. I have to go on Stellarium, and it's an astronomy program, and then I put in the city, and then I find out what direction she was looking at, elevation, all that. And then I could see that it was Venus, right?
Yeah.
And very bright, a negative something magnitude. But and then what happens is in Stellarium, you can pull up the clock and you could forward it, and you could watch this thing eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Go down into the horizon.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I looked at that, and I called her back, and I said, I thanked her, thank you for talking to me, because I actually went out there.
Right.
I did a live investigation. I went out during the day because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't looking at a house on a hill.
Right.
And they had a bright light.
Right, like a big street lamp or something. Right.
Or security lights.
Yep.
Because people that live on a hill, they're worried about animals
or
whatever.
Yeah.
So I went out there, and I told her, my conclusion is that it's Venus. And I said, and I got the information from stellarium.org. You could go on there yourself, and it was Venus. She got so mad. No, it wasn't. And I just said, I'm sorry. But that is the conclusion based on evidence. Yeah. And
Doug's really good. He's a professional at Planet.
Isn't this? Yeah, I sent one to one of our investigators, and she says, "Yeah, that's Jupiter."
Yeah, you're right. Man.
I don't believe it. So I went on and I looked it up. I went, oh, yeah, it's Jupiter. And then I had the one of the jet. I go, look at this.
Yeah, it's chasing an orb. Oh, it's flying past Jupiter.
I got a flight radar, and I looked and went, oh, yeah, that's a Jupiter.
Which is awesome because that proves that they're not just making this up.
The problem with the cell phone, if you blow it up, it makes it look weird.
Yeah, you showed me. It looked like it's twisting.
That's like you finally got one.
Yeah. Do the Skywatch, you'll see something. You're going to see something in Skywatch.
All right, let's wrap it up. We
right.
got our hour in. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome questions, comments, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website at alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. Like and subscribe to YouTube at Alien Probe Podcast. Thanks, Dev. I appreciate it. Dev Rugne.
Yep.
I can
buy the book. UFO Investigator.
Everybody
Amazon.
And I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And watch the skies, everyone.
That's right.